Hello everybody, this is Deaf to False Music, shaved, perfectly shaved, coming at you with honest music reviews from the hills of eastern Kentucky. How y'all doing? Hope y'all are having a good time out there in the YouTube world. Been a few days since I last rapped at you, so I figured what better way than to get back into the crack of things than talking about the new My Morning Jacket album that's coming out on May 31st, 2011. I have picked up a copy of this album, and I'm going to give it a fresh, honest review, so here we go. In case you don't know, My Morning Jacket are a 5-piece rock and roll band from Louisville, Kentucky. They kind of blazed onto the trail in 1999 with the very soft and understated Tennessee Fire. The next few albums that came out kind of transformed their sound into a big, bold rock and roll band, with 2001's At Dawn adding more instrumentation and a better mix, and then 2003's It Still Moves, which adding better instrumentation, better performances, and a brass sound. 2005's Z had a very psychedelic rock kind of feel, and was kind of breaking away from the structures of the first three albums, with more straightforward songs, more straightforward jams, more guitar-heavy songs. Then 2008's Evil Urges came out and kind of shook everything. Evil Urges was less about rock and roll and more about the band's live sound. It was more of an old-fashioned R&B, there's more groove-orientated syncopation, and there's more experimental keyboard tracks. So now we make it to 2011, and the band has released their sixth album, Circuital, which is going to be released May 31st, 2011 on ATO Records, Rough Trade, and Spunk Records. I reviewed the first two tracks that were released from this album a few days ago, Circuital and Holding On to Black Metal. Really loved those tracks, thought this was going to be a return to form from the weird kaleidoscopic psychedelia of Evil Urges. Sadly, that's not to be the case here. Hold on to your horses, everybody, because we are heading into negative review land. What can I say about this album? Gee, I don't know. All I can say is this album came off of Evil Urges 3 years after Evil Urges, and I have to say this is probably one of the biggest musical disappointments of 2011. And I'm not bashing the band here. I'm totally not bashing them. I think they do a great job performance-wise. I still think the band's dynamics are fantastic. I still think the sounds that they're making are very interesting and intriguing. And overall, they sound a hell of a lot better than most of the rock bands of 2011. But you have to think about context. You have to think of where this band is coming from and where they've been and where they're going. And if this is the new direction for My Morning Jacket, that is just not a direction that I'm interested in. The two great songs on here, Circuital and Holding On to Black Metal, are just classic My Morning Jacket, especially the title track. The title track is a 7-minute journey that really reminds me of the bolder songs off of Z. Kind of has a sound like Lay Low or something like that. Has this really building, kind of creeping guitar riffs in the beginning, and then this kind of big climactic rock and roll sound halfway into it. Some fantastic lyrics and singing from Jim Javes, and overall just a great, great song. Holding On to Black Metal is a little more experimental, and it has some children's choir, some brass, and it's more of a funky, syncopated groove. I really enjoy that song. Some really interesting, weird lyrics, and overall, just a great rockin' song. The rest of the album, though, really kind of falls flat. Either it's the experimentation that's kind of boring, or just the songs themselves don't really go anywhere. Victory Dance is just not a good opener, I'm sorry. It's this kind of electronic, minimal, skittering song with lots and lots of lyrics, and then it goes into this weird noisy part with Jim James basically screaming his nuts off. It's just not that interesting. And that's the problem with most of these songs. They just sound boring. They just sound like they're really not going anywhere. Another song, for instance, The Day Is Coming. It's a little 3-minute song in between Circuital and Wonderful the Way I Feel, and it's just that I've heard this band do this kind of song on previous albums, but they usually build it up at the end either with a guitar jam, or with a drum solo, or with fantastic interplay between all members. Here, it's just kind of a boring melody that really doesn't go anywhere. Wonderful the Way I Feel is very reminiscent of the ballads off of At Dawn. And that's okay. It's a cute song. It's just a cute song. But that's all it is. Cute. The rest of the songs I just really didn't care for. And I hate to say that about My Morning Jacket because they are one of my all-time favorite bands, but there's a lot of these songs I just plain didn't care for. Out of My System is a cute little psychedelic rock song, but it's extremely poppy, which is not bad for the band. You know, they can be poppy. It's just not really a melody that's embracing or memorable. Same thing goes with First Light. It's just kind of this mediocre rock song that I've heard the band do better on albums like even Evil Urges. And You Want to Freak Out, it just bored me. The only other song that I felt really compelled me other than Circuital and Holding On to Black Metal was Slow, Slow Tune. It reminds me of the more challenging and thought-provoking songs of It Still Moves. It kind of had that, well, slow feel that some of the more epic songs off that album made me feel. It's a pretty good song. I'm not going to knock that one. But the closer, Moving Away, really just kind of understated closer. And that's what this album feels like. It feels like it just kind of brushes by with no real resonance. It just felt like the band was basic. Even though this did take 3 years for this to come out, it just felt like the band is playing by motions, basically. They're just kind of breezing by without real thought or power into what they do. And it's just kind of disappointing, because I'm just like, where's the passion? Where's the energy? You know, My Morning Jacket has built themselves upon powerful rock and roll shows. Their live shows are full of passion and resonance and power. And I just feel like this album has none of that. I'm sorry, I wasn't really feeling this album. And I only liked 3 songs, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to give this one a 3 out of 10. Hugely disappointed with it. It's just boring. But this is my opinion. You might like it. If so, that's great. Pick it up. It comes out on May 31st. And this has been Deaf to False Music with a new album review, My Morning Jacket, Circuital. Hope you all enjoy, and I'll catch you next time.